It's interesting because just going back to a case study that you were talking about earlier, when you talked about somebody that had an injury, not a chronic injury, but an acute injury, I think it was. And you said that you did a certain amount of tapping and it went down to a 2, and that was the amount that the body, that's the natural amount that the body needs, because there's either tissue damage or nerve damage or whatever the damage is. Now, it's quite interesting because when I work with people who do have acute injury, and I don't sell myself as working with that because I think it can be a bit dangerous, saying, oh yeah, EFT can cure acute pain. I tend to focus on chronic, but what I have found is that it still speeds up the healing process by up to 3 weeks. And people have asked me why, and I think there's a possibility that perhaps it speeds up and increases blood flow to tissue, or I don't know. Is there anything that you could add to that? When I'm asked that question, I don't really know why and how it speeds up the actual healing process of an injury.
Well, what you find is that the concept of holism is really crucial in thinking about the body, because we function as a whole. We don't function as a heart, a liver, a lung, a pancreas, a kidney. We function as a whole.
The community.
When we're stressed, when we're stressed, every single organ system is affected. In my book, The Genie in Your Genes, I have a diagram showing the sympathetic nervous system, which is our stress response, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our relaxation response. And you see in that diagram how the nerves that emanate from those two halves of our autonomic nervous system link to every single organ system. They link to your skin, they link to your liver, they link to your muscular system. Everything is affected. So you get stressed, and these effects are endemic throughout your whole body. And so that's really well worth noting. So, for example, if the person needs increased blood flow through a wound to help it heal, an internal wound, that might happen because it regulates that. But the opposite can happen too. For example, I've seen people with getting a cut, and we tap, and the blood flow just stops. And the blood's gushing out, start tapping, and the blood just congeals right away. So it can either raise your cortisol if you have low cortisol. So if you have chronic low cortisol, like chronic fatigue, it can help raise your cortisol to where you have enough. But if you're like most of us with too much cortisol, it helps lower it. So it regulates it to get the optimal balance of all those neurotransmitters and hormones, including things like respiration and circulation.
So basically, it's basically like supporting our inner pharmacy, if you like. It's releasing the chemicals that we need.
Yes.
It's decreasing the ones that we don't need.
Yes.
It's basically there. It is like, for me, it's like an internal pharmacy. So
Yes.
rather than going and getting something, you can regulate it and balance it with using EFT or any
Yes.
other type of energy model. You talked about Genie in My Genes, your book. I was just wondering if you could just let people know what the book's about and how it might be able to help them in their lives.
Well, I got intrigued by this whole notion that our consciousness affects our gene expression. And some of our genes are fixed, like your height, your eye color, your skin tone, hair color, all of those things. Those genes are highly activated in the womb during gestation, birth, growth, and so on, and they're fixed. It's only a very small proportion of our genes are those kind of fixed characteristic genes. Most of our genes are turned on or off by interactions with our environment. Many genes are shifted that way. So, for example, if the fire alarm went off in the room you're in right now, the genes that code for adrenaline would click on. You'd suddenly have a big surge in all of the neurochemistry to do with that, down to the level of the gene. The genes that have the code for adrenaline would literally unwrap, and within 1 or 2 seconds, you have a big spike of adrenaline as your body reads the code for making the adrenaline molecule, and then starts to make lots of adrenaline, which goes throughout your body. So that's the way in which thoughts, feelings, emotions, experiences are literally shifting us at the gene level. Now, if you get in the habit of triggering beneficial gene expression, say meditate every day. I love meditation. I'm a firm believer in it. I meditate every day. And so you enter this really calm state. So my mind's all worried about this and that, then I calm down and tap into this wonderful divine reality that we live in as human beings on a spiritual path, and you start the day that way. Then you get to work, and you read your email, and suddenly you're out of that space. Like, oh, there's this problem, that problem to have to deal with. So what do you do then? Well, that's a good time to apply EFT, do some tapping, and release that. So you have all these ways of triggering feeling good. And so what happens is, after a few months, you literally reset the biochemical balance in your body. So what you previously felt as normal inside your body, your normal ratio, say, of cortisol to DHEA, that changes over the course of about 5 months. If you are meditating, if you are doing EFT, if you're practicing mindfulness and heartfulness, then you start to feel really good in your body, and you start to have this calm internal state. And in fact, if anything upsets you, you're very motivated to bring yourself back into balance fast. You want that nice, calm state. And so you feel good, so you do more of the things that feel good. You get better at meditation. You do more heart math. You do more EFT, and you feel still better. So after a while, you get to the point where you are habituated to a really good internal biochemical state. You do more of those things that make you feel good. If it makes you feel good, do more of it. And so you're on this upward spiral. So I watch people doing this. I watch people actually looking physically a lot younger. Cortisol is, again, terribly corrosive on our bodies long term. If it's at a high level, it makes our skin wrinkle, it gives us age spots, it gives us osteoporosis, loss of muscle mass, upsets our sleep, upsets our digestion. All kinds of things happen as a result of high cortisol. Keep that up for a year or 2 years or 5 years, and you're a wreck, and it takes you a long time to recover. But if you start to do these beneficial interventions, you start to then trigger good gene expression, you feel better, that motivates you to do more of the same, and you get to feeling better and better and better. You get to feeling better as your normal state. So it's great to do this. And what I talk about in the Genie in Your Genes is all the ways, all the experimental evidence showing this is so, showing that it's affecting your energy system in your body. It's affecting your hormonal system. It's affecting your gene expression. And the book is just this celebration of how we can do this, and also the practical tools like EFT, heart math, and so on that will trigger this. But how to use this information to make yourself feel really good, and also, honestly, the dangers of letting yourself just stay in that state of negativity and sadness and whatever else bothers you now. It has terrible effects on your body long term. So I really encourage people to snap out of it, do things that work for them, and embark on this positive. I say be an epigenetic engineer, be your own gene chip engineer. Go ahead and do the things in your consciousness that trigger positive gene expression in your own body.
It's interesting because I always think about going to a buffet, and I always think if I went to a buffet, I wouldn't pick the food that I don't like, that's awful.
Right.
I'd pick the food I do like, and it's interesting how we don't with emotions and feel-good things. It's kind of that sort of subconscious self-sabotage or
yes,
whatever it is that kind of gets in the way. And I think the EFT helps with clearing that so that we can be more open to doing things that actually make us feel good and actually are good for us.
Yes, and in fact, it's very, very hard to change those patterns. If you think about that finding that the number of neural connections in a neural bundle doubles within 1 hour of repeat stimulation. So if you've been thinking this negative thought over and over and over again for 30 years, and you've built this huge neural bundle around thinking that negative thought, you have this great big information superhighway to think that negative thought. Now you go to a weekend workshop, you go to an EFT workshop, you feel good. You read Wayne Dyer's latest book, read my book, you feel good. Go for a counseling session, you feel better. Now you have one little neuron that is there to conduct that positive information. When you get stressed, it's like having one superhighway and one footpath. And what happens is you just revert right back to those old behaviors. So that's called conditioning. And you have to learn to counter-condition those highly conditioned behaviors. And EFT is one of the great ways I know of doing that. You can break these habits. It's hard to break them, but it is possible to break them. And EFT is a real help in doing that.
Well, it's the same with meditation. It takes a long time to be able to really focus your mind for any length of time on nothingness, on just, hello, let me just get out of my crazy head for an hour, to be nothing, no one, in no place. It's actually difficult. But once you get into it, and the first time I actually experienced true meditation was on Dr. Joe Dispenza's course, and I was crying, and you know, it's the first time I've ever got it. I've got this kind of tap and think, oh God, when's it going to be over? And oh, I've got prawns for dinner tonight, and you know. But Dr. Joe really, the course really, it was just a complete eye opener for me. And ever since then, I do it every day, not for 4 hours like he does, but you know. But it takes time, it takes practice, and it's like going to the gym. If you want to go to the gym and have a good body, when you stop, your body's going to go back to the way it was again. So I think that people think going on a course so it's not worked. Well, it will work if you continue to apply techniques and keep changing, hardwiring the neurology.
Yeah, that is the key. I love Joe. Joe's latest book is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. That's a fantastic title. I'll be seeing him next month, and Joe's just a fantastic, insightful guy. But you're right. Repetition's the key. You have to build up those neural bundles that help you, and then gradually those ones, if you aren't using those old information superhighways around negativity, or the old habits used to do, they gradually disintegrate. Over about 2 weeks, those old neural bundles will start to be unpicked by the body. The molecules will be disassembled and used to build the new things you're cultivating. So just keep it up for a few weeks, and you'll find a big shift happening.
My final question, because I know you're busy and I've kept you on a bit longer than we originally planned. Have you heard of matrix reimprinting, and if so, what are your thoughts about it?
Oh yes, I've talked to Dawson quite a few times, and I've had a few sessions myself which were very good. I think matrix for me was great because, again, EFT focuses on events, specific events and particular memories. Matrix I found helpful. I worked on areas of unease I had in my own life to which I could not attribute a specific event. So matrix really filled the gap in EFT for me in that way. And many of our EFT Universe certified practitioners get certified in matrix as well. We encourage it. I think it's a really good technique. But I think what we'll find over the next while is, like for example, I'm doing a new workshop now on EFT plus Gestalt dream work. So using EFT and Gestalt dream work to remove any fear you have in your dreams, help with recurring dreams, understand dream messages, interpret your dreams, have lucid dreams. There's a whole range of using EFT. This is just one of our workshops, applying EFT, but combining it with Gestalt therapy and dream work. So I think that we'll do that. We're doing a new workshop now on combining a device called the Mind Mirror for mindfulness and EFT. And we actually map people's brain states. We map their levels of alpha, beta, delta, and theta waves, and see produce changes with EFT. So I think that we're just at the start of applying EFT to a whole variety of different things. I mentioned that Joe Dispenza and I are now talking about a project that combines heart math, neurofeedback, mindfulness, and EFT. Fabulous combinations. So things that EFT isn't very good at reaching, maybe can reach with heart math or mindfulness or neurofeedback. So I think we're just at the start of exploring how EFT fits into the whole medical paradigm, where it can be used most successfully, how you can use it to enhance other parts of your spiritual journey. EFT is not a spiritual path. You can be spiritually bankrupt and do EFT and feel great, but be spiritually bankrupt still. So, what is your spiritual path? Are you focused on being a highly ethical person in a gray world? Are you able to devote yourself to allowing your soul's message and your soul's journey to be lived through your physical body and your mind and your experiences? All of those things. EFT doesn't touch any of that. So we need those as well. And I had a lot of fun recently. I went on EFT Universe. EFT Universe has about 10,000 pages on the site in 14 different languages. And I went on there and looked for spirituality and found people talking about their Christian faith in EFT, talking about their Muslim faith in EFT, talking about A Course in Miracles in EFT, talking about the law of attraction in EFT. And it was really wonderful to see how EFT done with a suite of other practices can really help that spiritual journey. So I think we're just at the start of our journey with EFT. We've had to prove EFT first experimentally. We did it into places like the NIH or NHS. But now we've done a big chunk of that work. Now is the time to look at the next step. One of those next steps is EFT, to use with things like early childhood experiences and matrix reimprinting, to use it with dream work, to use it with pain, and so on. And I think we'll find that EFT has a big role to play in really improving all of our approaches to those kinds of problems.
Dawson, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. You've really helped me to understand things a little bit better, and also to give some credibility to my blog and my new website that's about to go live. So thank you so much.
Well, I love what you're doing, and I just know it'll be very successful. So thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
All the best.
Thanks. Bye. Bye, Dawson. Bye. Love.
One other thing too is we should talk about the pain issue, because I'm sorry, it's getting hot in here. I'm going to take my jacket off. I've been putting together a pain